Hey, what's up? Today's POT podcast includes such zinger topics as my road trip, a review. We took a month-long road trip and I give you the pros and cons, the ups and downs, and the lefts and the rights. We talk about cursive. They're not teaching it in schools anymore. Is that good or bad? We talk about Show Me Your Papers, Comrade, the vaccine passport here in New York City. Should we do it? Should we not? Do you have yours? We take a little deviation to talk about a book, and we talk about getting back to routine, how to do it, how I haven't been doing it, and more. I'm your host, Anthony Ladon, and this is POT Podcast. What is happening? Oh God, it's so good to see you again. I know it's been a long time. I think the last podcast I posted was June 6th? June 6th? Yeah. And it is not June 6th anymore. It's not even July. It is now August, the end of August. A lot has happened. I have so many great excuses about why it's taken me so long to get this podcast back up and going. I'm not going to tell you any of them because that would kind of ruin the surprise. I think that's the fun part about the weekly, about the podcast routine of apologizing, which is what I do. This should really just be an I'm sorry. Every single week should start off with, hey, sorry this is late. But okay, so lots happened in the last couple of months. Let me try to run through a few of them. So Whiff and I went on a road trip. We were on a road trip. I don't know why I said that weird. Road trip? This is not getting off. This is what happens when you're a little bit rusty. And it's just, whew. Okay, we're going to keep going though. We're going to keep plowing away. Plowing away. No, it's plowing through. Plowing on maybe, but plowing away, that sounds like a euphemism from the 80s or something. Like people doing so much coke, they were like a snow plow. Like, oh, Charlie Sheen was plowing away to, I mean, maybe that was the thing. Maybe I'm actually, no, okay. We're not going to keep plowing away, Anthony. We're going to plow on. Okay, so road trip. Also, can we just start off by asking the question, is it one word or two? The word road trip. Is it like ice cream or like ice cream? Is there a space? This is hard. Harder than I remember, but all right, we're gonna keep plowing away. So yeah, Whiff and I were on a road trip. That was a ton of fun. We went to Tacoma, Washington, our ancestral homeland. We were like salmon. We'll do the hand motion again. We're like salmon swimming upstream. I guess some trout do that, right? Like, isn't steelhead? I know it's a salmon, but isn't it like of the trout family? Don't they swim upstream? I don't know. I'm not an angler. Although I do. When I was a kid, I used to fish a lot, and that was a ton of fun with my grandparents. I used to love. One Christmas, my uncle got my brother and me a tackle box, which also doesn't fit for me. But a tackle box full of like all sorts of things, and that was like my prizest possession as a kid, because there's like you open it up and it's like this little box of possibilities. Anyway, where was I going? So yeah, Whiff and I road trip, ancestral homeland, Tacoma, Washington. Which is kind of what we do. We average like one every, maybe one a summer, like one a year. Summer's the worst time to travel, in my opinion, for road trips, because that's when everybody else wants to travel. And everybody was traveling this summer. Everything was so expensive. Normally, a hotel room at a La Quinta in, Ely, Nevada might cost $100 or something. But some of the La Quintas were closer to like $300, $250, $300, which is nuts. We usually try to stick within the old Starwood, now Marriott family. So, but even then, all those places were way more expensive than usual. And it's, so anyway, we still plowed on. We still plowed away. And it was a fun road trip. There's not much to see, in my opinion, between New York and the West. We stayed in, what did we stay? Davenport. And the only reason I remember that was because it has a funny name. Like, that's what my grandparents used to call the couch. I mean, not like, it's not like a proper name, like, oh yeah, we named it Davenport after the city. The word Davenport, I think, meant couch, right? At one point? Somebody correct me here. You can send in emails, by the way, at potcast@gmail.com, POAT cast@gmail.com. All one word. There's no space in that one. I know that for sure. Anyway, Davenport, I remember that one. We stayed in, we didn't do Columbus this time. Oh, we did do Cleveland. Now, Cleveland's not bad. We found a cheaper rate at the Ritz-Carlton there, and it's pretty nice. That was a nicer stay. No surprise there. Ritz-Carlton is, I think, pretty nice. Thankfully they weren't like ridiculously expensive. Okay, anyway, moving on. But yeah, Davenport. Where else do we? There's not much, I guess, is where I'm going with this, between the eastern seaboard. Seaboard? Is that one word or two? And the West. Now, the West, in my opinion, is like once you hit Colorado, and it's not Colorado, even if you want it to be, it's Colorado. That's how people in Colorado say it. That's how people out in the West say the state name. People out here in the East, in New York, Colorado, Oregon. No. That to me shows your ignorance, because you've never been to those places and communicated with those people, and you would know, had you done that it's Portland, Oregon, and Denver, Colorado. Anyway, Colorado? Wait, am I getting it backwards now? Do people say Colorado out here and it should be Colorado? No. Wait. No, God. Now I'm just, Colorado. Yeah, it's Colorado. That's what it is. Anyway, if you're from Colorado, don't write in and correct me. Just let me live in ignorance, please. I'm enjoying this. It's been so nice. Anyway, so yeah, point is, road trip, not much to see, in my opinion, between out here and the West. And, it's no fault of those states. They just don't have much interesting things going on except food, lots of corn, soybeans. I think the U.S. is the number 2 soybean producer in the world. I think. I made that up. I think I researched that at one point for something, and I don't know what it was. But yeah, there's just a lot of farm. And not like the cool farm, where you imagine all of your dogs go when they're done here, right? I picture them crossing the Rainbow Bridge, going to a beautiful farm with animals, friendly animals. Not like Animal Farm, 4 legs good, 2 legs. Those guys were a little bit militant at times, but like a fun farm. These are not those. These are just there's those giant circular sprinklers, the arms that stretch for miles and they just rotate. You hands on a clock all the way around the plot of land, watering it. But yeah, so there's a lot of that, which now the nice thing about that is you can let your mind wander. That's one of the reasons we love road trips so much, is you get out on the road. Well, and okay, you got to get past New Jersey. New Jersey sucks because it's almost all routes and expressways and turnpike. It's all freeway, 2 lanes, 4 lanes. All of New Jersey, right outside of New York, is just that. Now I know there's some beautiful green parts. I think there's a 1 acre of that in the southern tip of the state. But when you got to get past Jersey. But then once you get past Jersey, you hit Pennsylvania, and then it's nice. It's it's a lot of greenery, not like shrubbery, but like trees and stuff. Okay, where am I going with this? Oh yeah. So, but the nice thing though is when you get out into the Midwest, and there's nothing except just a couple of rolling hills every once in a while, and then corn and what do we got? Corn and soybeans. Yeah, like I said. It's almost like Sorry, I had to pour some water. It's almost like the emptiness, the complete void, lack of anything interesting going on out there. It's almost like it pulls out great ideas that are stuck in the recesses of your mind. You can just let your mind wander every once in a while, come back to the road and pay attention. But that's the beauty of the Midwest, in my opinion, is you have the freedom to think about anything. You can just go. Like Nebraska, I don't even know what Nebraska looks like because I just cruise control and I'm asleep pretty much mentally, more so than usual. And it's nice. Okay, so road trip, ancestral homeland. We're like salmon, maybe a trout. Not much to see. Midwest. Okay, so the other interesting thing is a lot of those towns are all the same. Everything like Cincinnati, Columbus, even Cleveland to a certain extent, Gary, Indiana, a smaller version of it. All the towns surrounding Chicago, they all look a lot alike. Actually, I would take away this town surrounding Chicago. Like Joliet's not, I wouldn't count that. But like, larger towns, I wouldn't even give them a city. Maybe they're a city. I don't know what the definition of a city is versus a town, but they're all the same. They have like 2 tall buildings above 20 stories. A lot in like the 5 to 8 range maybe. And, it's super quiet right now. There's just not a ton of people walking around doing things, which is no different than usual. But anyway, it's nice. A lot of it was like built up. They look like post-industrial, not industrial age, like breathing soot in England or like London kind of industrialization. Hold on, I gotta turn off my AC unit. But it's not like breathing soot in industrial age London. It's more like, post gold rush boom when the U.S. even like maybe post World War II, when like all of our machinery was clicking on all cylinders, and then they started building up cities. That's kind of what this feels like. So anyway, that's every city except the West. And then once you get to the West, then even just the geography gets really interesting. And that's my favorite part, is the cool stuff. So this is just a very long-winded way to say we had a fun road trip. It was nice. We went to Wyoming, Utah. Utah's beautiful. Utah is kind of like Utah is super weird, like a hot prude. Like you want to be in Utah, but it's super weird about alcohol. I think I may have made comments about this before. Utah has, they actually have craft cocktail bars, like 1 or 2 of them. We stayed at a bar. Oh, we didn't stay at a bar. We stayed at a hotel in Moab, kind of eastern Utah, but it's no different anywhere else. You can only have up to, I think, 1.5 ounces of distilled spirits in a drink. And they can only give you 1 drink at a time. So that means if have I mentioned this before? Okay, sorry if I have, but they're super weird about booze. It's just, so nothing tastes good. They have to like measure it. Every drop of alcohol has to go through this measurement device where they slap it on the top of the bottle, dump it over, and it meters out exactly 1 ounce or 1.5 ounces or 2 ounces, I think maybe max, of whatever they're going for. I call it the Zion Squirter. That's just my little nickname for it because it just squirts out booze and that's it. But they're still doing this, and I think Utah has fallen in my favorite state list to the bottom because of that. It's beautiful, but it is insane. Okay, we stayed in Colorado. That was gorgeous. Or Colorado. Where else? Anyway, it was nice. It was nice. Here's one thing that was different than usual. Instead of just the driving around, hanging out with a little bit of family, I called up texted 2 childhood friends of mine, and had such a great. I hadn't seen these guys in years, not since like weddings. So yeah, years ago, and it was nice. It was so nice to like chat with them, hang out with them, and like reconnect. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, I don't know if you've had the similar experience, but like chatting with people, or reconnecting with people who you've lost touch with over the years. It's almost like getting a part of your childhood back. It's like you kind of, It's like, oh yeah, but this used to be fun. Then we used to be friends and stuff. I mean, we still are, but we just haven't kept in great contact. This is turning into more of like a confessional or something instead of a podcast. I do have things to talk about. This is just the wind up. Okay, so road trip. It took a month. And that's why I'm late with this podcast. So, okay, here's what do I have on the list of things to talk about? Oh, my mom called me the other day and to tell me that my niece and nephew aren't learning cursive in school because schools are no longer teaching cursive, or at least their school. Okay. Who cares? This, I think, is an interesting debate topic because on the one hand, cursive is old. Okay, it's falling out of fashion. I don't know too many people that write in cursive anymore. We have one friend who handwrites thank you notes, and those aren't even in cursive. So yeah, no, forget that. But it's beautiful print. If you're listening out there, you know who you are, and it's just not cursive. So on the one hand, it's out of style. Like there's a reason why we don't use slide rules anymore in school. We don't teach kids how to use them. I don't know if they still use calculators or if they just all have iPhones and, they teach them how to do that. But the point is, we progress a little bit in our education system and we maybe don't have to teach the old stuff. We don't have to teach the old stuff. Some, information gets outdated. I mean, obviously, we're still teaching creationism because that makes sense. That hasn't been, proven. That hasn't been disproven yet. So it's important to keep that thought alive. But cursive, we're not teaching that anymore, and that's fine because we don't know who uses it. I write in gibberish, when I do my morning pages every morning, and it's all caps because my handwriting is so terrible anyway that this forces me to slow down a little bit, but it's still moderately illegible. So anyway, that's not even cursive, except it's kind of connected so it's maybe like half cursive. It's like a print cursive, a printive, cursant. Okay, anyway. But now on the other side, this is where things get tricky, is there is something nice about learning how to write properly. This is the way, to communicate. This is something that connects us to history. It is learning how to connect. It's just as the letters are connected in every single word, so too does learning how to write in cursive connect us to the past. And not only that, but it's just a nice, I think it teaches you practice and respect for a language. Words have meanings. And grammar is important. Like it just teaches you a little bit of reverence. Like it kind of makes it a special thing. Not so much that it's like calligraphy, which I know a lot of people are interested in and learning about now. Maybe because they didn't get cursive in school, over the last 20 years. But I don't know. I see both sides. When you have limited hours in the day to teach, and you need to pack in, 4 of those hours for creation, and then another 4 for critical race theory, you don't have room for cursive. And PE, obviously you can't do that because that, promotes physical activity, and we don't want to make people feel ashamed who don't experience any physical activity. So, none of that. But cursive, I don't know, man. But I do wish. Oh. Now I learned how to print or write in cursive, and I don't know if I would have changed. I'm trying to think of what it gave me, in terms of my education. I did have to practice. Maybe that's one thing. Is it's a little bit different than learning your multiplication tables. Like you can practice multiplication tables. I didn't have to. I was a genius. I just knew them. But art and cursive, I would argue, is kind of artistic. That's a thing where you have to learn. It's muscle memory. You do it over and over again until it's good. I never did that. because I didn't see the value in it. So that's why my handwriting is illegible now. Should have been a doctor, right? That's obviously they were too busy learning how to prescribe opioid. I wonder if that's why some of the prescription, like there's so many prescriptions for opioids, is maybe they were actually prescribing something else, but then the pharmacy couldn't read it and they're like, I think he means fentanyl. That's what everybody else is doing. So maybe it's really the pharmacy's fault. And, arguably the doctors for having illegible handwriting. Maybe the opioid crisis wouldn't be a crisis. Maybe it's not, maybe it's just a big misunderstanding. I'm just throwing it out there. It could be that if we had taught cursive and they had learned it and practiced it a little bit better, we wouldn't have a big issue. And now, pharmaceutical companies settling with different, AGs of however many states, paying out billions of dollars. Okay, fine. Please, I hope you don't think this is like conspiracy theory radio, because I could definitely, after seeing, I've met some people on these road trips, and I do think I could see how they might misinterpret my ramblings as conspiracy theories. So this is just a little asterisk. I hope you don't. I don't think you would, but I just got to say that. So anyway, cursive. What are we doing about this? What do you think? Should we be teaching cursive? Should we not? Oh, man. Oh yeah, where was I going? Oh, but the practice thing. That's one thing that printing and learning how to write taught me, was the muscle memory thing. It doing something over and over again until it's right, and then even continuing on. Again, I never did it, but I could see the value in it, because that's how you learn how to do physical things, I think. Swinging a bat, you gotta take 10,000 cuts at bat in order to hit a baseball or a softball, or whatever ball, you identify with that you have to hit. Okay. I don't want to alienate any listeners out there who may have hit different balls or may prefer different balls. Whatever balls you like, I want to make sure that you feel comfortable and that 10,000 cuts at bat, it's like the 10,000 hours thing, except actually accurate for the at-bats. Okay, so, but on the other hand, you're not going to use it. Even by the time I was in 8th grade, we were learning typing, home row, all that stuff. We were learning how to use computers because they were all the rage, or just starting out. So I don't know. I would like to know I'd like to know your thoughts. Cursive. Are you pro cursive, well, actually the real issue is teaching cursive in schools. Should we be doing it? Should we be not? Again, I know, because we have so many important things to teach these kids. We need to indoctrinate them. We need to shove that banana of knowledge down their throats and make sure that they take it. Okay, so what else did I write here on topics? Cursive. I just wrote cursive and then slide rule, because we all know what that means. Do you know what a slide rule is, right? It's like a rudimentary calculator. It's what they use to do all the maths for the first shuttle launch, right? Okay. Or no, was that was an actual, did they actually use computers then with anyway, okay. Somebody correct me on that one. Don't correct me on the Colorado thing. That I want to live my life in ignorance there. Okay. All right. I can't see, this is the thing. This is the card that I have now is I cannot read what this says. Oh, that video is getting a little bit bright. Let me darken that. Boop. Okay. That's better. So very sorry about the video. I just fixed it. I know it was getting a little bit brighter. I didn't account for that because I wasn't watching my monitor. I was just not paying attention. Okay. So let's break here and start anew. Okay, yeah, so I can't tell what this says. Cursive, slide note, and then papers. Oh, papers. I do know what I meant. Okay. So this one, I think 3 or 4 people independently have brought up this topic in conversation recently, and it's the whole New York City requiring vaccine status, proof of vaccine to enter a restaurant. And so 4 different people have brought this up to me and my wife, and all 4 have said the exact same thing. And that is, they bring it up and they're like, so how is New York doing with the whole show me your papers, comrade kind of thing? And it was, I think I understand the news. Like what's the point of a pundit? And I think the point of a pundit is to give people talking points and vocabulary for issues that they think are important. So I don't know which pundit came up with the show me your papers, comrade connection, but I have to imagine it was someone on Fox News. And because all the people that brought it up, I think, watch Fox News. I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure. And which, by the way, let's bookmark the idea of Fox News. I'm going to write this down because I do want to talk about it again. I know I've talked about it a lot on the station, but I watched a lot of it on the road trip, and I think I get it. I enjoy it. It should be okay. We'll get there. Okay. So, but show me your papers, comrade. Okay. So, number one, I think I understand why people like these pundits, even though they're kind of annoying to watch or whatever. They're just loud mouths. A lot like me right now. I am a pundit. I'm not a pundit. I don't know why I said that. I'm sorry. I spoke out of turn. But yeah, okay. So I think what these people, why they like them is that it's like they hear on the news or they read on the news that some issue's happening somewhere, and then it gets politicized. But then they like the pundit taking their point of view, getting the pundit's perspective. So many plosives. I know my mic isn't great for this, but whatever. It's what we got. Anyway, so then they get the pundit's perspective, and then it's like, oh yes, I can now ask somebody and I can use the term show me your papers, comrade. Because I think they want to feel informed and knowledgeable about the thing, and that's a fun way to do it, is to get a little twist. Okay, so show me your papers, comrade. What do we think? If you don't, here's the backstory. New York City is now requiring anybody who goes into a restaurant to eat to show proof of vaccination. Okay, you can do this a number of ways. You can show them your actual vaccine card. You can show them a photograph of your vaccine card. Photograph meaning like an image on your phone, not, I don't know who's bringing around an actual picture of their vaccine card. Like, why don't you just bring around your vaccine card? Anyway. Or we have an app for that. There's actually 2 apps now to make it even more confusing, is you now can choose between 2 different apps, and you log in with your information and you can show them your vaccine status. Okay, great, cool. Who cares? Well, liberals and conservatives care about this because both have very strong perspectives on it. And I can actually see both sides of this argument. Now, the show me your papers, comrade side is like government overreach. Why are they forcing restaurants? It's none of the government's business whether or not I get the vaccine, is I think what these people are saying. Why should it be compelling or forcing people to get it, to get the vaccine? And then there's also the argument against it from the restaurants. They don't want to be the bad guys. They don't want to have to sit there and like, show me your papers, comrade. And then, oh, you don't speak Russian. Okay, well then, okay. And then they ask in English. I think the reason, they don't want to do it. They don't want to be the bad guys. They don't want to have to say, sorry, it's the rules. Because I have to imagine they probably don't care. They're all vaccinated. That they're vaccinated, they're taken care of, they're fine. So they're not going to get real sick. So I don't think, they don't want to be the bad guys, and the government's forcing them to be. Okay, I get that. That's a reason not for it, against it rather. I do get the argument for it on the grounds that it's like, look, we're trying to force people to get it, and one way to do that is to not let them participate in society. And the one easy way to do that is to get them at the restaurant counter, right when they come in at the host stand. Do you have it? Nope. Get out. Okay. On the public safety, maybe is your argument, and it's important to do that. That I think is that butts heads with the government overreach argument. And I don't know if there's really an impasse there, because I think both are valid arguments. I think, depending on your perspective, you can make the argument that, look, at this point, if you don't have the vaccine, it's your fault. At least in New York, it's pretty damn easy to get it. I can get a shot on the way to a restaurant. Like they're on the street. There's homeless guys with needles, volunteering. It's free. You can go into any Duane Reade or Walgreens or Rite Aid or whatever, and you can get one. Okay, so there's that. It's easy to get, so there's no excuse. And if you don't have it, that's your fault. That's your choice, actually. And that's the fun part, okay, is you get to choose. And if you don't get it and you get sick, well, that's your life. You're taking it in your own hands. Hopefully you're doing the cost-benefit analysis for you. Okay, so if I don't get it, there's a greater chance I get really sick and die. If I get the vaccine and I get sick, okay, I might get the sniffles. Like there are some breakthroughs, and I know that, but for the most part, it drastically reduces. Okay, so I understand the against the papers, against the vaccine, passport argument from that perspective. But here is one way where I actually might understand the argument on the pro side is, if you're going to cost the taxpayers a lot of money by getting sick and then getting stuck on a ventilator, then maybe the government has an argument to say you need to get it, or else you can't participate. If government's like, look, we're going to be paying for your hospital bill no matter what, so we'd prefer if we didn't have to do that, and the best way to prevent that is to get a vaccine or don't participate in the world. I get. Now, if we didn't have to pay for your health care, if the government didn't have to support it and wasn't like the catch-all, at the end for the people who can't afford it, they don't have health insurance, all that, whatever. If the government wasn't there as a catch-all, then I could see maybe more argument in the against the vaccine passport idea, because then it is a little overreaching, because we're all taking, like, I've got a vaccine, I've taken care of myself. Now it's up to you, to do that or not. You just have to do the calculation yourself. So, okay, that's the thing, is if we're going to pay for this anyway, this might save us a lot of money. So anyway, what do you think? I know this is a controversial topic, but you know what? That's kind of fun. I would like to encourage lively debates. I'd like to read people's emails. So thank you folks who have sent in notes over the months. Not too many over the last couple of months because I haven't posted any of these. Whoops. But vaccine passports. Are you for them? Are you against them? In what scenarios are you for or against? Oh, let me write down books. The other thing, okay, so here's another topic. We're done with that one. We're done. This is how I have conversations with my family too. It's like, we're done with this topic. Next. It's fun that way. They love it, I'm sure. By the way, if you're a parent, if I were a parent, I would enjoy so much slapping me upside the head constantly for my behavior as a kid, because it's I love talking about politics, but sometimes it's like I set this rule where it's like, nope, we're not talking about politics. It's like, well, then get out of my house. If I were a parent and I enjoyed those kind of spirited debates or whatever, and I had some kid coming in here saying like, here are the rules of the conversation. We are not going to be discussing politics. We are not going to be discussing anything of consequence. I would just say, all right, cool, then we will not be having dinner together. Get out. I love you, but not that much. Thankfully, none of my parents or in-laws do that. They put up with it. So thank you guys for doing that. But anyway, okay, so where am I going with this? Oh, the whole vaccine passport thing, pro con, is on the road trip, read a bunch of books. One of them was called Think Again by Adam Grant, or Rethink. I think it's Think Again. I have to rethink that. But anyway, it's a good read. It's a light read. So if you don't want to think really hard or, you kind of want just easily digestible pop psychology books, it's a good one for that. But I liked one of the takeaways for me was, that's a word I don't miss from working a regular job, is the word takeaways. All right, so the key takeaways here. Why don't you start with the key takeaways? Why do we have to sit through this hour-long meeting listening to you bluster? We could have just gotten the 5 bullet points on your last slide. Okay, anyway. But one of the things that Think Again tells us is that be wary of people who set up an argument as black or white. Or, are you for it or are you against it? Well, there's a lot of gray. Okay, I'm for the vaccine passport in certain circumstances, or I could see arguments for it some, but I'm also against it in some ways. And, okay, so then we can talk about it, have a debate and maybe come up with something. Now, I get at the end of the day, the choice of whether the government's choice of whether to implement a vaccine passport or not is binary. It is a yes or no. Do we or do we not? Although you could argue that they have implemented it in kind of a gray way. They have implemented it only in certain places for certain things at certain times. Okay. But I think that's pretty black and white. Do we or don't we? But at least the arguments... So anyway, the whole point of... One of the points of Think Again is be wary of getting pulled into an argument that's completely binary. There may be more gray area. And that's actually kind of a fun place to be, I think, from a debate perspective, because so many, at least the debates I'm in with family and friends, turn into usually a liberal versus conservative stereotypical argument. And that's no fun, because then you're just like locking heads and it's like, okay, we're getting nowhere with this. What's the point? But instead, if we found some sort of gray area and dove into that, I think those debates could be livelier. They could produce more interesting things coming out of it. And if we weren't so focused, I'm telling myself this, but if you aren't so focused about being right or wrong as well, then you can almost have more fun saying, well, hypothetically, I think they could introduce a vaccine via aerosol, and that would be, would that be fun and legal? And that's a fun gray area to get into. Again, now put the little asterisks here for all you conspiracy theorists out there. I'm not saying that that's a thing. It's not happening. I'm only throwing it out there as like, well, this could be kind of a fun way to have a conversation. Okay, maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know. I haven't yet, so it could be fun. So anyway, the other thing from Think Again too, highly recommend for a quick read. We listen to it, and it's a quick listen, and it's light. It's okay to change your mind when you get new information. So a lot of us are afraid of changing our minds. Think of a politician who promises one thing on the campaign trail, gets no new taxes, and then gets into office and raises taxes. That one killed HW, and whoops. So one thing is to just not make promises. But the other thing is, okay, maybe he had new information. I know I'm rehashing, something from 40 years ago, but was it 40? 30. I think I was alive. So 35 years ago. But maybe he got new information, and maybe it's okay for people. But that's a big bold. That one unfortunately got him because that was a very clear black and white promise. There's not going to be any of this, and then he got it and it was like, maybe there will be some of this. Okay. So anyway, but the book, okay to rethink things, okay to think again about things with new information, because you're a human, you evolve. So that's one thing I'd like to take away from the book is maybe I will rethink some things, when I get new information on them. I haven't found any new information on anything yet, so I'm still stuck in my ways, not going to change them because I actually don't want to seek out new information, so I'm good. Okay. Papers. Okay, we're done with that one. Good. We're just cruising right along. I have a meeting. I'm meeting a friend for breakfast this morning, so I got to get to that. So we're going to maybe cut this one short here soon. Last topic, getting back to a routine. So one of the ways that the road trip, one of the tough things about the road trip is it takes you out of your normal routine. Now, sometimes this can be great if your normal routine is doing heroin every day at 5 p.m. and you have to take a road trip, so maybe you stop doing that because you don't know where you can get heroin in Davenport, right? That's fine. That's maybe a good thing. Although withdrawals would probably be killer while you're trying to drive on I-80. But there's other things, like if you're in a routine of just like plopping down in front of the TV and watching hours on end and, shoveling food into your face, a road trip is a great way to break that up. Although it's pretty easy to do that on the road trip as well. And I think we did plenty of that. Okay, so that's a terrible example. But I'm sure there's bad things that you do in your routine that if you did something drastic like a road trip for a week or 2 weeks, we did a month, it would change things. The downside, though, is that it also takes you out of your good routines. Okay, so I had been working out once a month on the regular. No, I've been working out like 3 to 4 days a week on average up until the road trip, and then twice, I think, on the entire road trip. And I don't like that. I'd like to get back to a routine, but it is really hard. I underestimated the inertia, like this object is staying at rest. I also underestimated on the other side, and I should have been thankful for this, where doing something every single day, it's so much easier to do it again. If you work out 3 days in a row, it's super easy to do it a fourth day in a row because, I don't know, you've got that momentum behind you. It's already like, well, I've already worked out 3 days this week. I guess what's one more? I've already done the hard thing. So I'm not doing any hard things. I'm not in my routine yet. Still working on that. I've been back for 2 weeks and haven't gotten back in. So that's going to be the big one tomorrow. Oh, this is good. I got back into this routine. Well, I did it once. But that's what I wrote about in my morning pages this morning was take the pressure off of yourself. A routine, instead of saying, I'm going to work out every day this week, say, I'm going to work out at 2 p.m. today. That's all you have to do, Anthony, is just pick a time, set a date, and do it. Just do one. You don't have to feel the pressure of it all. Just take it one instance at a time. I am back in the habit of doing morning pages, and what I kind of went off and on during the road trip, but every morning Lauren's like, hey, what time do you want to do morning pages? And I'm like, I forgot. Yes, let's do that. And now it's like, well, I did it the last week, every day last week, so doing it tomorrow is going to be super easy. Anyway, so that's one thing I'm struggling with, is to get back in the routine. Hopefully this thought of, instead of getting into a routine, just do the thing once, If I want to practice a musical instrument every day, it starts with practicing it one time. So that's what I'm going to do. That's my promise. That's my commitment to you. You are my commitment device. Feel free to write in. What are your routines? What are you struggling with? What are you trying to do more of or trying to do less of? That'd be one. If you're trying to like quit drinking or whatever, does it start with just don't drink this drink in front of me? Or heroin. It's like, should I shoot up or not? It sounds difficult to quit. What if I just don't do it today? I wonder if people, this is sad, but I do wonder if people who are addicted to drugs, if they want to quit, I'm assuming that this person does, this hypothetical heroin man, straw man, if he wants to quit, is it as simple, are they as rational as we think? It's just like, well, I just won't shoot up now. I will, I don't know. Those are big thoughts for this podcast. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure. I've got to get going. Hit me up via email, podcast@gmail.com. I miss you. Thank you for listening. That's a weird way to end it. I still haven't figured this out. Maybe that should be my new routine, is figuring out how to end these things properly. I miss you, Anthony. Gross. All right. Thanks so much for listening. Until next week, we'll see you then. Take care. Bye.